3,000! History with an exclamation point!
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. Rockies are champions of baseball.
Okay, well, welcome back, Knicks fans, or welcome back to myself, I guess. It's been a minute since I had recorded a Knicks episode. It's been about, 4 games ago? I missed the Grizzlies game, I missed the Rockets game, I missed the Thunder game. Last time we talked was March 26th, that game against the Hornets where the Knicks lost. So, since then, the Knicks lost to the Thunder again, lost to the Rockets, obviously beat the Grizzlies and Bulls. So we are going to talk about the Bulls game here where the Knicks won 136-96. I just been busy with a lot of Yankees and also just the grind of the regular season in the NBA. We're at the end. We kind of know where the Knicks are going to land in terms of in the East. It's going to be either 3 or 4, most likely 3. You never know about the 2 spot, but I really don't really care anymore. I'm ready for the playoffs. So these last few games, I just need the Knicks to stay healthy and tighten some things up before they get to the postseason. They've got 4 more games remaining. Tonight they have a game against the Hawks. That's their final road game of the regular season before they finish out with a 3-game homestand against Boston, against Toronto. That's a back-to-back. And then Sunday against the Hornets. But so this is going to be a very brief, very short episode. There's not really a lot that I have on the notes. It's all just scattered. Usually I'll take notes during the game with a pen and paper, and then I'll transfer it from the pad to a Google Doc, but I don't really have anything on my Google Doc, so it's just scattered here on a pad. This was a game without Cat. But since we missed the last few games, I do want to talk a little more about Cat because that's always a conversation here with the Knicks, and the noise kind of got louder. And I read a really great article recently about Karl Anthony Towns and obviously the whole conversation this season about his role, Mike Brown's system. And it was a great article because it actually broke some things down and it went deep into the entire thing with real depth and nuance. And it's not as black and white as everybody wants to make it seem. And this was an article, if you follow him on Twitter, he's known as Shaq's NBA. Really great piece. And so to just paraphrase what he said, like talking about Cat and his role in this system. And he was saying just like, listen, like Mike Brown has been very vocal about this whole thing. And he's been vocal about how the Knicks have added more as the season's gone on for Cat to work in the areas that he's best in, at the top of the floor in space and in these post isolations in space. That's what those are areas he's great in, and those are areas that the Knicks and Mike Brown has incorporated more, right? Cat at the top in space, Cat in post isos in space. Used as this playmaking hub, this screener when he's at the 5, where he sees more play calling and it's less freelance. But when he's at the 4, he's used as a screener. You'll see some double drags and horn sets with him and Mitch because they're both big, but it's less play calling and it's more freelance as the season's gone on. But when Cat is at the 5, it's either in one of 2 formations. It's the 4 out, 1 in formation, where Cat is the 1 in. He starts out on the dunker. Or, and this is what we all wish we saw more of, it's in 5 out with Cat up top, surveying in space, like we just said, looking to attack or pass. Now, the problem is when Cat is at the 5, he's not always at the 5, right? Because a lot of the time, Josh Hart is going to share those minutes. So when Cat is at the 5, in quotes, and Josh Hart's on the floor, Josh Hart's technically your offensive center. So Cat's usage dips. You get less space. It gets a bit clunky. The ball slows down. But when Cat is at the 5 in 5-out offense, where he's actually your center, you see the usage rate jump. You see that he's got more space. You see that he's got the matchup he wants. You can go to the Brunson pick and roll. You can use Cat to play make. The ball moves better. It's less Brunson Hart pick and roll that leads to just Brunson ISOs, and it's more Cat up top looking for cutters or looking for guys to be a handoff hub with, or using him as a screener for Brunson, or having him attack the big on his downhill drives, right? That's what we want. So when Knicks fans see less of that, and that is usually meaning less ball movement, they need to understand it's more than what you see on First Take in the next morning, whatever the hell you watch. Like, if you watch the games and you don't just watch the ball, but you pay attention to the floor, the Knicks' offensive fluidity is very dependent on the rotations that Mike Brown plays, on how the defense decides to guard the Knicks, which obviously ties into the rotations. And yes, like part of it, a lot of it, I'll say, is Brunson's willingness and his ability to make that read. I'm not going to act like that's not an issue. But I do think it's been better, and I do think he's capable, and I do think a lot of the Knicks, or a lot of the Knicks fans, ignore that first part, where the Knicks will play into the defensive hands by playing certain rotations. So I think that's what it's all about. And it's gonna continue to be what it's all about for me, is leaning into those 5-out rotations in the playoffs so you can have that ball movement. Because you're not going to get ball movement when Hart and Cat are playing together and Hart's got the center. Because if Hart's got the center, Brunson's going to use Hart to run pick and roll with over and over so he can get that matchup. But if Cat's got it, you can use Cat to play make at the top. You can run action together. There's so many more options you can do because Cat can shoot, he can pass, he can drive. So I just think that needed to be said after all the noise in the last couple of nights about Cat not getting involved. And of course, national media, TNT, Reggie Miller, whatever the hell, Stephen A., all that shit continues to be a thing when it shouldn't be. Just wanted to get that out of the way. But I did think in this game, this was no Cat. The Knicks looked really good offensively. And I'm gonna hand the game ball to Jalen Brunson because I thought Jalen Brunson was the best Knick on the floor. So from the first unit, not Jalen Brunson, I'm sorry. Why don't I say Jalen Brunson? What's OG Anunoby? I handed the ball to OG Anunoby in this game because I thought he was the best Knick from the first unit. He was on fire. He continues to be on fire. OG Anunoby in his last 2 games specifically from 3-point range, 7 for 10. Let's see. He was 4 for 8 against the Grizzlies, and he was 7 for 10 against the Bulls. So quick math here off the top. That is 11 for 18. That's very good, folks. At the same time, he's 11 out of 12 at the foul line during that span. He's also rebounding a lot more lately. And the defense remains good. So OG Anunoby, just the shot making, of course, but it's the shot taking that we continue to talk about. When he's taking those shots, that's what we want. The volume is always going to matter more than efficiency, especially on this team when you have Mitchell Robinson down there to create those extra possessions, right? Volume. So OG Anunoby continues to shoot the lights out of the ball and play really good defense. So he is going to get the game ball from the starters. And then if you go to the second unit, I'm going to hand the game ball from the second unit in this game to... this is a tougher one because I don't really know if anybody here is like super deserving because the bench unit in this game wasn't spectacular. I'll give it to Jose. Nah, I don't know. Because again, I'm off the top of my head here, so I really don't know. You know what? I like the minutes that Jeremy Sochan gave. He finishes as a plus 30 in 17 minutes in this game. He scored 7 points on 2 for 2, 3 for 4 from the foul line, 8 rebounds, 6 defensive, an assist, a steal, and a block. I liked what I saw from Jeremy Sochan. This was a game where, again, Cat didn't play, so Mitch was bumped up to the starting unit. Jeremy Sochan was the big that they used off the bench, big wing player. Kind of using him on the pinch post, ran some pinch post offense through him. That was interesting. And I thought he looked good. I thought he worked well with Brunson. Brunson was getting blitzed, so he was hitting the short roll pocket. He hit OG a couple times, but he also hit Jeremy Sochan, and I thought he handled it pretty well with a couple of passes. So those are your two guys to get the Bing Bong game balls. OG Anunoby gets his 10th, and Jeremy Sochan gets his first in this win against the Bulls. But one of the things that continue to be a conversation is just kind of like we talk about with the Cat stuff and this offense and this team just as a whole. It's really difficult to get everybody clicking at once, and if you do, it's hard to keep that sustained. And we brought this up a few episodes ago, how the Knicks wings, OG and Mikal, it's hard to get both of them at the same time because there was a portion of the season where Mikal Bridges was really good, and he was a big part of what they were doing. And that's kind of tapered off in the second half. And while Mikal was thriving, OG was kind of going through those ups and downs. And now OG Anunoby, you're seeing, looks healthy again, and he's playing his best ball in a while. And it's been Mikal Bridges who's kind of getting the flack, and he's getting the low usage rates and just not the same. So that's just the one thing that you continue to hope the Knicks can iron out before the playoffs. But I will say, I think it is very important, and it's very good that the Knicks have someone like Deuce McBride back, because it was looking a little scary there for a minute when he was out all that time. He comes back, and then it looked really scary when he had to leave the game with what looked like, a re-injury. But it seems like he's okay, and he's going to be a big part of this team, because to have that as insurance, as this 3-and-D, I call him a wing, even though he's more of a smaller guard because he plays like a wing. But to have that out there, and he's a big part of their offense being 5 out, right? Because when you're running 5 out, you can kind of say it's 5 out when Mo Diawara's out there, or if Jordan Clarkson's one of those guys, or Shamet, sure. But it's nobody else does it to the degree of Deuce McBride. And when I say it, I mean brings the gravity that Deuce McBride brings. Deuce's ability to shoot from a little bit more further out, similar to how Dante was, but not to that extent, is the reason that the floor is so spaced when the Knicks are playing him with the first unit. It's the reason that Cat has to have the center guard him when Deuce is with the first unit. It's the reason they get that fluidity that we talk about. It's when Deuce is out there, because he commands that respect. So having him back, even if you're not getting your other wings like Mikal and OG on the same page at the same time, I think it's tremendous. So you just hope that he looks healthy, and he did look better in this game. He knocked down 2 out of 4 from 3. And I think, we talk about volume. The Knicks' 3-point rate in the first number of games was very high. But you go back to their last 23 games, they have dipped to 16th. They've dipped to 16th in 3-point attempts per 100 possession in their last 23 games. So that's like a damn near 2-month span. So having Deuce McBride back and having Shamet fully healthy for the playoffs, because he was out for a minute there, that's going to be big in terms of 3-point volume. So glad Deuce is back. Wanted to give him a quick shout. But I think that's it. The game's about to start in an hour and change, so I want to get this episode up just to have something, and then we'll be back full force after the Knicks take on the Hawks here tonight. We'll be back either tomorrow or the morning of the next day. before the next game is played. So we're back with the Knicks. Thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Not going to head to a break. Not going to do a trivia. Not going to do any kind of up next and talk about the schedule. Just wanted to talk briefly here on the Knicks 136-96 win over the Chicago Bulls. And I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. Now, on the thumbnail here, I said at Chicago. I'm pretty sure the Knicks were home in this game. That would bother me, even though it's not supposed to bother me. So I want to see. Yeah, the Knicks were home. Yes, so let's fix that. But I appreciate you all tuning in. I'll see you very soon. Later. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.